Have you ever felt exhausted after helping someone only to realize they barely cared or made any effort to change? It's like trying to push a boulder up a hill, only for it to keep rolling back, crushing your efforts each time. Stoic philosophy reminds us that helping others is a noble act, but not everyone deserves our patience and valuable energy. Sometimes stepping back is a way to protect ourselves and preserve a mindful compassion. Today we'll explore 10 types of people you should think twice about helping. Those who might pull you down rather than rise with you. Especially the 10th type. Understanding it might forever change your view of generosity. Before we dive in, consider this story. A devoted father watched his son grow increasingly careless, slipping in his work and life. Each time his son encountered a setback, he stepped in, offered financial support, or intervened to save him from being fired. But day after day, nothing changed. His son remained dependent, lacking the drive to stand on his own. One day it dawned on him that his constant support had created reliance rather than resilience in his son. Instead of helping him grow, he'd only strengthened his dependence. So, who are the people we should think carefully about before helping? Let's dive into each type, gaining insights into how to offer kindness thoughtfully and with discernment. 1. The immutable. Have you ever tried to help someone who, no matter what you did, seemed stubbornly committed to their current situation? It's not just exhausting, it can drain your spirit when you see the potential for change, but the other person doesn't. Or worse, outright refuses it. Modern Stoicism reminds us that while compassion and a desire to help are noble qualities, sometimes the wisest course of action is to step back, preserving our own energy for things that truly matter. I remember reconnecting with an old college friend who couldn't stop complaining about his life. When I saw him again, I thought maybe I could lend a hand, offering some encouragement or advice to help him find a way forward. He had once been talented, passionate, and capable, but during our conversation, he only focused on his failures, the unfair cards life had dealt him. I patiently listened and tried to offer supportive words, but he countered every suggestion with complaints, excuses, and a litany of reasons why change just wasn't possible for him. It felt like trying to row a boat with someone who simply wouldn't pick up their oar. I realized that no matter how much I wanted to help, my efforts were pointless if he didn't want to change. People like this aren't genuinely looking to grow. They just want to unload their burdens and hope someone else will shoulder them. In today's world, we often meet such individuals, those who take others' help for granted and quickly reject it when it requires their own effort. Stoicism teaches us that not every battle is ours to fight, and that helping isn't always the best approach. Epicurus once said that it's not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond to it. We can extend a helping hand, but if the person isn't willing to reach for it, then the responsibility is no longer ours. Modern Stoicism advises that compassion is essential, but it must be paired with boundaries. People who resist change are actually clinging to a deep-seated fear of failure and the unknown life they've grown unaccustomed to facing. This resistance is a form of self-deception, masking a profound fear of stepping out of their comfort zone. When dealing with people like this, the kindest thing you can do is step back, allowing them to find their own path or take responsibility. This isn't abandonment. It's respecting their freedom to choose. Because as Stoics remind us, wisdom lies in recognizing when to step aside, letting others learn their lessons on their own. 2. The manipulators. Ever feel like you're surrounded by emotional vampires? Not the movie kind, but real people who seem to drain every bit of energy you have. These are the manipulators. Those who treat your kindness as a free buffet. If you've ever found yourself exhausted after helping someone, it may be time to question if you're truly helping the right people. Imagine your relationships as a garden. Healthy relationships are like nurturing plants that grow with care. But with manipulators, it's like watering a cactus that demands more than it ever needs, leaving you parched and exhausted. Manipulators are masters of guilt-tripping, making you feel responsible for meeting their needs, even at the cost of your happiness. Stoic wisdom reminds us that while helping others is noble, your inner peace is priceless. There is nothing more exhausting than realizing that every act of kindness you extend is just another brick in the wall of someone's self-centeredness. Ultimately, you may end up as their therapist, their energy source, even their enabler. But let's be clear, they're not looking for help. They're looking for excuses to keep you feeling responsible for their issues. A clear red flag is if they're always in crisis, and you're always the problem solver. We've all had that one friend or family member who seems stuck in a never-ending drama series, and over time, their issues become your burden. I remember a colleague in my 50s who would complain endlessly about her health, her family issues, her financial troubles. Each crisis seemed to flow into the next. Out of compassion, I would listen and even offer solutions, but nothing ever changed. She clung to her problems like a life raft, refusing to consider change and even dismissing any suggestions for improvement. Over time, I realized my support wasn't helping. It was only enabling her pattern of self-pity and dependence. Modern Stoicism, especially in a world filled with constant distractions, teaches us the balance of knowing when to lend a hand and when to keep our distance. Sometimes a firm no is kinder than a reluctant yes that leaves you drained. You are not obligated to solve everyone's problems or be their emotional anchor. As Epictetus wisely said, "The man who laughs at himself will never run out of things to laugh at." Recognizing manipulation helps you detach from those who drain your spirit. Setting boundaries is essential, just as Stoic wisdom teaches us. Marcus Aurelius once said that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Remember this when deciding how much time and energy to devote to others. Manipulators thrive on pushing your boundaries, leaving you feeling as if their needs are endless. By recognizing this behavior and establishing clear limits, you regain control over your own peace of mind. Ultimately, the key is valuing your own energy. You're not here to be everyone's savior, you're here to live your life to the fullest. Helping someone is a beautiful thing, but sometimes it merely perpetuates a cycle of abuse. Before you reach out, ask yourself, am I truly helping, or am I just letting myself be manipulated? Remember, you are the author of your own life. Don't let a manipulator hold the pen and write your story. Life should be filled with genuine relationships that lift you up, not ones that drain you. Avoiding the trap of manipulation requires strong boundaries, as Stoics teach us. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that protecting our peace is essential to maintaining quality thoughts. Next time you're faced with a manipulator, pause and ask yourself, am I watering a plant that will grow, or am I just feeding a cactus that endlessly demands more? The choice is yours, and with the guidance of Stoic principles, it's a choice you can make with confidence and clarity. 3. The victim. One of the most exhausting types of people we encounter in life is the victim. Someone who constantly blames everything and everyone around them without ever taking responsibility for themselves. These people are perpetually wrapped up in a narrative of unfairness and misfortune, as if they're seeking a loyal audience to endlessly recount their tales of woe. Perhaps you've experienced sitting for hours, listening to someone like this complain about life. My boss doesn't appreciate me. My co-workers don't support me. The universe seems to be against me. The more you listen, the more it feels like you're trapped in an endless soap opera with a script that's on repeat. I once had a friend, a longtime colleague, who lived in this state of perpetual victimhood. He constantly complained about everything, from his career to his family, always finding a reason to excuse every failure. At one point, he was entrusted with an important project, but instead of focusing and giving it his best, he spent most of his time complaining that his boss wasn't fair and that his colleagues weren't cooperative. Eventually, the project failed, and as usual, he blamed everyone but himself. People like this don't seek solutions. They simply look for someone to share the burden of responsibility. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength doesn't come from fault-finding or blame-shifting, but from realizing that we have control over how we respond to any situation. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." However, the victim doesn't understand this. They just want to point fingers at circumstances and others, repeating the same cycle of disappointment and helplessness. When you try to help them, it's like handing them a map, yet they insist that every roadblock is someone else's fault, and every obstacle is an unfair twist of fate. Thus, what we often need to do with people like this is to step back, not to abandon them, but to allow them to confront themselves and realize that the key to change lies in their own hands, not in someone else's. You might feel compelled to help, to offer advice, or even to step in and solve their problems. But remember, not everyone is ready to change. Some people feel secure in their role as a victim, seeking sympathy rather than taking action. The wisest thing you can do is to protect your own energy and peace, as Stoics have always reminded us. Don't allow yourself to be pulled into their spiral of self-pity, because you cannot change their outlook if they aren't willing to. Epictetus once said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." The victim chooses to view life through a lens of blame and helplessness, but that is their choice, not yours. You are not obligated to carry the weight of their self-made problems, nor are you responsible for fixing their life. Sometimes, the greatest kindness you can offer is to step back and let them face the reality they've been avoiding. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means giving them the space to recognize that the power to change lies within themselves. In today's world, this dynamic is common. Whether it's friends, family members, or co-workers, there are always those who cling to their victim story, blaming everything but themselves. While it's tempting to step in as the helper, it's essential to recognize that some people are not yet ready to change. They are stuck in their narrative, and no amount of advice or support will make a difference unless they choose to take responsibility for their life. This is where Stoicism offers invaluable insight. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." The victim allows their thoughts to spiral into negativity, and until they change their mindset, they will remain trapped in their role. As a practitioner of Stoic principles, you understand the value of focusing on what you can control. You can't change a victim's perspective, but you can control how you respond to their behavior. By setting boundaries and maintaining emotional distance, you protect your own peace of mind while giving them the opportunity to take responsibility for their actions. This doesn't mean you're abandoning them. It means you're respecting your own well-being and giving them the space to grow. After all, Stoicism teaches us that true wisdom comes from within. And sometimes the best way to help someone is to step back and let them find their path on their own. In the end, remember that your role isn't to be everyone's savior. The victim doesn't need you to fix their life. They need to realize they have the power to do it themselves. It's not your job to shoulder the burden of their issues. As Epictetus wisely said, we suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them. The victim chooses to view life through a lens of blame and helplessness, but that is their choice, not yours. The best gift you can offer the victim is the truth. That life doesn't just happen to us, we shape it. When they finally grasp this, they can step out of their self-imposed role as a victim and become the true navigator of their own life. 4. The narcissist. Have you ever felt like you were stuck on an endless carousel when dealing with someone who constantly seeks attention, yet doesn't truly care about anyone else? Narcissists are like the stars of their own life drama, always seeking the spotlight and admiration without regard for the feelings of others. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This perfectly captures the essence of narcissists. They're perpetually chasing validation, but lack genuine empathy, locked in a cycle of craving admiration without truly valuing anyone else's worth. Imagine having a friend, maybe a colleague, who shows up at every meeting or family gathering like they're center stage. At one point, they come to you with a personal problem, appearing distraught and desperate. You take the time to listen, offering sincere advice, hoping to help them find a solution. Yet after all that, they seem uninterested in any of your suggestions. Instead, they revert back to their own story, focused solely on receiving sympathy and praise, without any real intent to change. Every interaction with them feels like trying to fill a bucket with holes. No matter how much you pour in, it's never enough. The hard truth is that narcissists aren't looking for solutions or personal growth. They want attention, and they'll go to great lengths to get it. Your efforts to help only become more fuel for their endless need for validation, leaving you drained from trying too hard with no result. Modern Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control others' behavior, we can control how we respond. The key is to set boundaries, to protect our precious energy from those who only see us as a reflection of their own ego. Helping others is noble, but it shouldn't come at the cost of your own peace and happiness. Invest your energy in people who genuinely need and value your support. Like a wise gardener, you wouldn't waste time watering weeds. You'd nurture the flowers, those who appreciate and bring meaning to your life. Narcissists are like weeds, never growing into something worthwhile, while those who value you are the blooms that make life vibrant. One of the most important things when dealing with narcissists is to not let yourself get tangled in their web, to avoid letting their vanity and selfishness dominate your life. Keep your mind like a mirror, untainted by their self-centeredness, reflecting back your own peace and purpose. Narcissists will always seek attention, but you can choose not to be a spectator in their drama. Instead, direct your precious time and energy toward relationships that provide value and serenity, because in this short life, time is our most valuable resource and deserves to be spent on those truly worth it. In the end, life is a series of choices. You can choose to dedicate your time and energy to those who are grateful and grow with you, rather than let it be consumed by people who only seek validation. Remember, you have the right to decide who is worthy of your attention, and anyone who truly respects you will never make you feel you have to try so hard to get noticed. 5. People who don't value your time. Time is one of the most precious resources we possess, yet there are people who waste it without a second thought, like a child carelessly spilling juice on a carpet. These time wasters don't respect your schedule, your needs, or your personal boundaries. Imagine your time as a limited, irreplaceable lottery ticket. Now imagine these time wasters constantly showing up just when you're ready to enjoy a quiet afternoon, As if your day is a buffet they can take from without asking. They operate in a way that feels almost deliberate, with little regard for your boundaries or your need for personal space. We've all been there. You may have an important meeting, a looming deadline, or even just the simple wish to relax, but these people seem to believe their needs are more urgent than anything you've planned. It's as if they think you're a clock that runs 24/7, always ready to meet their demands without any thought for your own need to rest. Dealing with a time waster is like trying to put together a 1,000-piece puzzle in the dark. It's frustrating and feels nearly impossible. However, there's hope, and modern Stoicism provides practical solutions for these situations. The first step is to safeguard your time by setting clear boundaries. Imagine your time as a garden, where each time waster is a weed trying to choke out your flowers. If you don't establish boundaries, they'll continue to encroach on your space. Let people know when you're available and when you're not. And don't be afraid to say no, politely but firmly. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic minds, once said, "Don't waste any more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In this case, being a good person means being wise enough to protect your time. Communicate your schedule and stick to it, because your life isn't meant to meet everyone else's expectations, but to fulfill your own priorities. Prioritizing your own agenda is essential. When a time waster shows up, remember that the most powerful conversation you can have is sometimes the one you don't engage in. You don't owe everyone your time, nor do you need to justify why you choose to spend it on things that matter to you. When you prioritize your goals and protect your schedule, you regain control over your life. This doesn't mean isolating yourself from everyone, but it does mean not allowing your time to be taken by people who don't respect it. Think about how modern Stoicism can guide you in these moments. A Stoic would not waste time trying to explain or justify their decisions to someone who doesn't value their time. Seneca, another great Stoic, once remarked, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Don't let others steal your most valuable resource, your time. Learn to recognize those who don't respect it and have the courage to set boundaries. 6. The deaf one. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to listen, nods at every piece of advice you offer, yet entirely ignores it in action? This person is like someone with selective hearing, presenting the impression they are absorbing your wisdom like a sponge. But when it's time to act, they remain stagnant, trapped in their own patterns. Speaking to them can feel like talking to a wall. No matter how profound your words are, they bounce back, leaving no impact. Helping someone like this becomes a frustrating cycle, draining your energy without any results, much like trying to inflate a balloon with a hole in it. They take in your advice but fail to apply it, rendering your efforts wasted. You may find yourself questioning why you even try, why you expend your energy on someone with no real intention of moving forward. Stoic principles teach us the importance of conserving our energy and focusing on what we can control, our own actions, thoughts, and responses. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." You can offer all the advice in the world, but action is ultimately the individual's responsibility. If they are unwilling to change, why keep repeating yourself? It becomes a situation where you pour yourself into someone who is neither ready nor willing to grow. Stoic wisdom reminds us that our efforts are best invested in things that can make a difference. The deaf cling to their habit of inaction, hold fast to excuses, and take a passive role in their lives, ignoring any guidance that could propel them forward. Imagine talking to a friend who constantly complains about a stagnant career, yet refuses every suggestion on how to improve. They nod, they agree, but next time you meet, they're in the same spot, rehearsing the same complaints. It's like planting seeds in barren soil, hoping for a lush garden. Modern Stoicism teaches that we should not waste our efforts on those unreceptive to growth or self-improvement. Setting boundaries is one way to handle the deaf listener. Think of it as filling a broken jar. No matter how much you pour, it never fills. Instead of exhausting your patience and energy, focus on people who are ready to listen, grow, and act on your advice. Isn't it more fulfilling to help someone who genuinely values your input and makes progress? Epicurus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters." Instead of becoming frustrated by those who reject your advice, choose to focus on areas where your guidance will be valued. Consider yourself as a gardener. When you plant a seed in fertile soil, it has the potential to grow and bear fruit. But if you plant in barren soil, no amount of watering or care will yield anything. Sometimes the best thing you can do for the deaf is to let them face the consequences of their inaction. Life has its ways of teaching lessons words cannot, and stepping back allows them to learn what they need on their own. Your role isn't to be a parrot, repeating the same advice in hopes that this time they might hear it. Your energy is precious and should be dedicated to those who genuinely seek progress. Stoic teachings remind us that real personal growth doesn't come from simply hearing advice, but from taking disciplined action. Seneca taught that our lives aren't inherently short, but we waste so much of it on pursuits with little reward. Modern life brings us into contact with people who nod and seem receptive to what we say, but never put in the effort to apply it. This could be a colleague who always asks for advice but makes the same mistakes, or a friend seeking guidance without changing their behavior. Stoicism, with its emphasis on action and self-discipline, teaches us that our energy is finite and we must use it wisely. A true Stoic understands that efforts should be directed toward those willing and eager to progress. By recognizing the deaf listener for who they are, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of giving unheeded advice and reclaim your energy for those genuinely seeking growth. 7. The dramatic person. Have you ever met someone who seems to step straight out of a Shakespearean tragedy, where every small inconvenience becomes a catastrophe and every bad day feels like the end of the world? It's as if their life is a stage and they're performing with you as the audience, drawn into their endless drama. Sometimes you feel compelled to help them, thinking they genuinely need guidance to navigate their self-created chaos. But the truth is, people like this aren't really looking for help. They want an audience, and you're the one sitting in the front row, silently witnessing every suffering in their never-ending play. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When dealing with the dramatic, this wisdom is invaluable. They live in a world filled with turmoil of their own making, and no matter how hard you try to help, they will always return to their drama. It's like sitting in a theater, expecting to see a regular film, only to find yourself pulled into a tale filled with tears, with them as the star and you as the reluctant spectator. You may see them endlessly blowing things out of proportion, making everything unbearably serious, and if you're not careful, you'll be swept into their storm of emotions. Imagine a friend who constantly complains about every little thing. Every call is an emergency broadcast about their life, from minor setbacks at work to ridiculous personal issues. You try to offer advice, but in return, you only hear more despair, as though your counsel can never truly save their world. And so, after each conversation, you feel drained, realizing that your efforts are in vain. That's the nature of the dramatic person. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is set boundaries and refuse to be a part of their eternal theater of suffering. It doesn't mean you're indifferent. It means you're choosing to protect your own peace because your life isn't a stage for their endless tragedies. Stoic philosophy teaches us that compassion does not mean sacrificing our own peace. You can care from a distance, maintaining enough space to avoid getting entangled in their chaos. Imagine a shield around you, allowing you to witness their pain, but preventing you from being overwhelmed by it. Like a superhero, you can show kindness without letting their negativity become your burden. This is one of the core principles of modern Stoicism, practicing compassion without giving up your inner peace. It's about being a supporting character, not a cast member in their play. Sometimes what a dramatic person needs is not a savior, but a mirror. Instead of offering solutions they'll likely ignore, try posing questions that encourage them to reflect. A simple question like, "Do you think things are really as bad as they seem?" can be surprisingly powerful. This doesn't mean you're taking on a mission to save them, but just giving a gentle nudge towards self-awareness. The secrets of Stoicism remind us that true growth comes from within, and sometimes all someone needs is the space to see their situation more clearly. Don't expect immediate results, though. A dramatic person is deeply invested in their role, and while a moment of reflection might help, they're unlikely to abandon their way of life overnight. Another often overlooked strategy is humor. Stoics understand life's absurdity and encourage humor as a way of dealing with its challenges. Seneca once said that sometimes even living is an act of courage. When faced with someone's dramatic outburst, a light-hearted comment like, "Sounds like a real doomsday this time," can offer perspective. Humor won't solve their deeper issues, but it can break the endless cycle of their tragedy and lighten the mood. Life is too short to be consumed by someone else's constant dramas. The dramatic person will continue seeking attention from anyone willing to listen. But as a follower of Stoicism, you have a choice. Don't allow your energy and time to be wasted on never-ending performances. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." So, choose to surround yourself with people who bring joy, support, and push you to grow. People who face life's challenges with resilience and find joy even in small moments. Your life is rich with its own challenges and beauty. Don't let your existence become the stage for someone else's tragedy. 8. The ungrateful. Have you ever helped someone only to receive a cold, indifferent thank you in return? That's the essence of ingratitude. Those people who live as if everyone's kindness and efforts are merely things they deserve, as if they hold a coupon for unlimited care and attention that can be cashed in anywhere but never reciprocated. These people are emotional black holes, taking everything you offer without filling the emptiness within themselves, leaving you exhausted and questioning why you ever bothered to help in the first place. In Stoicism, gratitude is a core virtue that helps us find balance and appreciate the good things in life. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." So why waste your energy on those who seem to have forgotten the importance of this essential lesson? Gratitude is not just about saying thank you. It's about recognizing and appreciating the efforts of others. The ungrateful completely miss this point, expecting more while appreciating less. Imagine it like this. You're on a boat and you see someone struggling in the water. You jump in, risking your safety to pull them onto the boat. A grateful person would look at you with heartfelt thanks, saying, "Thank you so much. I don't know what I would have done without you." But the ungrateful, they glare at you, complaining, "You took too long. I could have drowned." They care nothing for the fact that you saved them, focusing instead on how they feel you didn't do enough or didn't act fast enough. The truth is, not everyone in trouble genuinely wants help. Some just want to criticize how everyone else is rescuing them poorly. The ungrateful are like plants that never bloom. No matter how much you nurture them, they take all your effort and give nothing back. While it's important to understand that not everyone was raised with the same appreciation for gratitude, that doesn't mean you should sacrifice your emotional health on the altar of their indifference. The principles of Stoicism remind us that while we cannot control others, we can control our responses to them. The first step: set clear boundaries. If you notice someone repeatedly taking advantage of your kindness without acknowledgement or appreciation, don't hesitate to draw some lines. Think of it as telling a plant it can't grow in the shade forever. It needs light, and you're not an endless source of that light. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're no longer generous. It means you're protecting your energy from being wasted on people who don't value it. Modern Stoicism emphasizes this as essential to maintaining your emotional balance. Much like saving your best ingredients for a special meal rather than wasting them on a frozen pizza microwaved for convenience. Stoic principles teach us to be mindful of where we invest our time and effort because, like our energy, these resources are finite. Helping the ungrateful drains you, while helping those who appreciate it lifts you up and strengthens the cycle of kindness. A practice often overlooked but crucial is to nurture gratitude within yourself. When you focus too much on helping others, especially those who don't appreciate it, you can forget to cultivate your own gratitude. Take time to appreciate what you have, the people who value you, and even the small, peaceful moments you create in your own life. Stoics remind us that he who is not satisfied with what he has will not be satisfied with what he wants. By focusing on your own gratitude, you ensure that your emotional reserves remain full, even when dealing with those who drain you. It's also essential to accept that some people will never change, no matter how much you give. Some individuals will never learn the value of gratitude. Accepting this truth can free you from the emotional burden of waiting for thanks that may never come. Consider the ungrateful like a broken clock. No matter how many times you try to fix it, it remains out of sync. And that's okay. You're not responsible for their growth, only for the time and energy you choose to invest in them. Acceptance is a fundamental component of Stoic wisdom, allowing you to move beyond situations and people who don't contribute to your happiness. So next time you encounter someone ungrateful, remember that you don't have to be the hero in their story. Life is too short to waste on people who don't value your efforts. Modern Stoicism encourages us to seek relationships and connections that are mutually beneficial, where gratitude flows naturally and consistently. You deserve to spend your time with those who appreciate your contributions, not those who expect them as an entitlement and never say a word of thanks in return. At the end of the day, what truly matters is your emotional balance. Surround yourself with people who understand the value of what you bring, and be selective with your generosity. As the Stoics advised, It's better to invest your time and energy in those who lift you up rather than those who pull you down. After all, as the saying goes, gratitude is not only the greatest virtue, but the parent of all other virtues. In today's world, where our time and energy are constantly demanded, it's more important than ever to make sure we use them wisely. The ungrateful will always be there, ready to take anything they can without giving anything back. But you have the choice in where to direct your efforts. By following Stoic principles, you'll find yourself surrounded by those who value you, and in turn, you'll cultivate stronger, more fulfilling relationships. 9. The dependent. The dependent personality often seems harmless at first, but in reality, they're like a backpack full of problems that weigh on those around them. They don't just expect you to lighten their burdens, they rely on you to make all the crucial decisions in their lives. Imagine you're at a lively party, everyone is laughing and music is playing. Then suddenly, a dependent friend corners you, and a light-hearted conversation turns into a deep dive into their endless list of issues. From taking care of their dog, to deciding what to eat for dinner, to every little aspect of their day. They're not just looking for sympathy, they're seeking someone willing to take charge of their life. Stoicism teaches us that, while we can't control everything that happens, we can control our responses. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This is a powerful reminder to stay grounded when dealing with dependent personalities. Setting clear boundaries with them is essential. Imagine being on a boat. If someone starts drilling holes at the bottom, you wouldn't sit idly by and wait to sink with them. You'd stop them to protect yourself. Dependents often make you feel like you're the only safe harbor they can rely on. But instead of letting yourself be their perpetual lifeline, encourage them to start rowing. A simple question like, "What would you do if no one were here to help?" could be the nudge they need to start considering solutions on their own. Practicing emotional detachment is also vital. Dependents often draw others into their emotional whirlpools, but you are not responsible for bearing the weight of their struggles. Create a safe distance that preserves your peace of mind. This isn't a lack of compassion, but rather a healthy boundary. You can offer them reason and perspective, helping them see their issues from a different angle, without being pulled into their endless stream of worries. Don't be afraid to say no, especially when their issues start encroaching on your own well-being. Your energy is finite, and you are not obligated to spend it on people who only expect solutions without making an effort to overcome challenges themselves. Stoicism underscores the importance of self-reliance and personal responsibility. By encouraging them to make decisions and be accountable, you'll help foster a healthier, more balanced relationship. Not every burden is yours to carry. The more you let them take responsibility, the sooner they'll learn to stand on their own. Life is a journey of balance, and sometimes the best way to help is by stepping back and letting others find their own way. 10. The denier. Encountering a denier can feel like facing an invisible wall. They cling to their self-constructed world, rejecting any truth that life tries to show them. No matter how clear the facts are, they continue to live in their fantasy, much like a child clutching a safety blanket. Denial can be exhausting, as every attempt to help seems to vanish into thin air. All the logic and patience you bring won't shift their perspective, like trying to teach a fish to fly. Imagine you have a compass that reliably points north, but this person insists that south is the real north. You patiently explain and guide, but as soon as you show them true north, they look at you as though you're speaking an alien language. Helping someone like this can feel like trying to move a brick wall with your bare hands. Every effort leaves you drained and questioning the point of even trying. It's moments like these that reveal a core Stoic truth. Not everything is within your control. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not external events. When it comes to dealing with deniers, knowing when to let go becomes essential. Picture a friend who's always interpreting life through their own unique filter. You've invested time in listening and advising, only to find that no matter what you say, they hold tight to their alternate reality. It's easy to feel disheartened, even frustrated, as your well-meaning advice falls flat. But rather than continually trying to change their perspective, the best thing you can do is set boundaries for yourself. When you accept that some people simply won't change their thinking, you free yourself from the weight of trying to rescue those who don't want help. Instead of exhausting yourself with reason or arguments, a gentle touch of humor may be a way to reach them. A light-hearted comment about the holy South they believe in might nudge them toward a different view. However, remember that even humor isn't a guarantee. Stoicism reminds us that our power lies in controlling our reactions, and sometimes the best response is to step back. In life, our time and energy are limited. Don't let them be drained by those who reject growth or refuse to see reality. You have the right to live your life, giving your energy to those who respect it. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning someone. It's a wise choice to preserve your peace. If you've read this far, leave a comment saying, "I choose peace." I'm eager to hear your thoughts and experiences. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic Training, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming videos filled with more wisdom for living. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.